It's just growing. It's just growing pains.
What's up, guys? Another video. I was just talking to Sanchez about this. I was like, I don't know if I'm, just running out of stuff to talk about or what. But I was like, we should make a new segment called "What's Up with You?" And then my girl was like, "Oh, what's that segment about?" I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna turn to Sanchez and be like, what's up with you?"
What's up with you? And then it'll have a musical intro later, and it'll be like, "What's up with you?"
Yeah, you're doing that. You're doing that, babe.
Tonight.
Yeah, for real. High pitch.
High pitch.
Yeah.
All set up.
Yep. It's amazing.
So we don't even know what episode we're on.
Yeah, I think it's 5.
4 or 5.
Yeah, I think it's like 5. We've
Okay.
done like 4 episodes.
That's cool. And it's been a minute since we were able to get together again.
Mm-hmm.
Schedules and busy and. So you want to start with what's up with you?
Yep, I want to start with what's up with you.
Okay.
You kind of gave me a little bit of it,
Yeah.
but so what were you? Do you have some type of meeting or something? What did you do?
So because I'm a yearbook advisor now, so that I stopped coaching wrestling and I do yearbook advising. But actually, recently they just came to me and were like, "Hey, would you coach again? Would you ever consider coaching?"
Coaching
again?
what?
Wrestling.
Swear.
Yeah.
I mean,
And so I sort of went like, well, nothing's changed. I don't know. This is something, and again for our podcast, something that people should. It's a pattern that happens all the time. So somebody does you wrong, and then they act like if there's enough time, we're all good, right? And that's not true. Hey,
Babe, listen up.
He's doing an elbow.
He's talking about
elbow.
He's talking about all your friends right now.
So if someone does you wrong, then they let time pass, and then they would try to act like it's all good, and that's a false conception. Like it's a misconception to think if time passes and next time I see you, I just act like it's all cool, then we're all cool. And most people do, and there is a little bit of like social grease and social, contract where like, okay, we're gonna agree not to bring it up and try to, but if you haven't dealt with it, and if it really does hurt, then dude, you have to, instead of letting it go, this is what leads to bitterness, this is what leads to problems later on. That's why people blow up about the whatever. They're like, "Don't you take my Orange Crush again?" Nah, and it's like, it's not really about the Orange Crush, it's about you disrespected me before and we never healed that. We never solved that, right?
Yeah, and I hate how people will be like, that situation will happen all the time. They'll be like, "Well, you're holding a grudge,"
Right.
But it's like, no, it's never been resolved.
Correct.
I'm not sitting here dwelling on it, but I'm not going to change my opinion.
Right.
It's like that whole forgive and forget.
Correct.
Type thing.
And I totally get forgive and forget. But if we haven't done the first part, how can we go?
Or no, my bad. I messed up. I meant the forgive, but don't forget.
Correct. And to, like again with the wrestling thing, Butler was about to go to state, and I'm on the phone with my athletic director, and he's like, "Yeah, you're on your own." I'm like, "Are you serious?" I mean, Mesa, we know, dude, we were the best team on the whole campus. Nobody won as much as we did. Nobody went as far as we did. And then Butler's about to go to state, and they're like, "Yeah, you got to pay for your own gas, you got to pay for your own car, you got to pay for your own hotel."
Crazy.
And I'm like, whatever. Because Butler's about to wrestle, and I'm like, whatever, dude. And I just hung up, and unfortunately he didn't go on. But if
Well, it sounded like fortunately.
yeah, no, yeah,
Trying to take out of everyone's pocket. That's crazy.
bruh. And so when I talked to the athletic director, I was pretty pissed and was like, that sucks. And I laid out my rules. Well, the next year they do it again, right? And I'm like, that's when I quit. That's when I went, I'm out. I'm done. You guys have messed up. 16 years of wrestling, coaching wrestling. You're going to do me like this. I'm done. While the next weekend they come and go, "What if we give you this and this and this? What if we give you everything you asked for?" I'm like, "What, you're going to do it now? Now that I quit? Now that I announced my retirement?" Nah. So now it's been 2 years.
Who's been coaching?
Some dude. And I no harm to him, no foul.
He wasn't a part
right,
of it. Yeah.
Exactly. And and so he's tried, but he was a young dude, and I guess he's going back to college or something, so he's like, "I'm out." So they come to me, and so here I am going, "Okay, but nothing's changed. Here's what I need. You got to pay for my postseason, gas, car, hotel, including when we go to Masters," because they go, "Wow, it's just in Stockton Drive." I'm like, "Well, that sucks. Do you understand how hard it is to be on weight and to drive for 45 minutes? We had to get here at 5 in the morning, make sure everybody's on time, so we don't leave till 5:45. Then we got to drive through traffic and hope that there's no traffic jams." Now, again, we've been lucky. But man, luck's gonna run out. And other schools are staying at the hotel right across the street and just walk across the street. And I'm like, that's what we need to do, dude, if we're gonna be competitive. So, here they come and they go, hey, you wanna be coach? I'm like, okay, well, nothing's changed. Here's my list of things I need. I need the stipends, I need new singlets for the girls, because I'm gonna create a separate girls wrestling team. I need all this stuff. And they're like, oh, you're still on that? I'm like, you came to me, I didn't come to you.
For real. That's crazy.
I didn't come bother you with it. Like,
See, and I wasn't, when you first were like, well, things have changed, I'm thinking on the hype of like, just off what you're saying, how like little appreciation there is
Yeah.
versus how much responsibility it really is to run a whole wrestling team all wrestling season
Yeah.
on top of,
Yeah.
running your own business,
Yeah.
being a teacher, like
Family.
they have to make it worth it, and
Yeah.
they're trying to give you the bare minimum, make
Yeah.
you work extra hard for it.
yeah.
That's just crazy.
And so, so that's what I've been doing is dealing with yearbook stuff because that's what I do now instead of coaching. And that's why I'm here so late. And that's really it. I mean, life is busy. Like, and we talked about this in another podcast. If you want to know who's reliable, if you want to know who you can trust, who you can depend on, you go to the busy man. If you go to the lazy dude, he'll be like, oh, maybe, yeah, we'll do that tomorrow. Tomorrow rolls around, he's like, oh, no, I can't make it. And what's he doing? He's on Xbox, he's on YouTube, he's taking a nap. Like, you go to the busy dude, yeah, it might be hard to grab one of his time slots, but once it's in, you're in. You're in. And that's the thing. So I try to be a busy dude. I go, and then when I'm home and I'm relaxed, that's it. Like 8 o'clock, we're watching shows. We watch a show for like an hour, hour and a half. Then the boys can go do whatever they want. My wife and I sit and talk, and that's my time. And nothing, I don't care. President of the United States could be like, I'm like, nah, dude, not happening. And then 10 o'clock, I'm getting ready for bed, and I'm in bed by 10:30. And there I have a little bit of leeway. Sometimes I stay up till 11, sometimes 10:30, and that's my day. And the next day, filled with stuff. I have it all written down or in my calendar. And I try to be the busy man.
How many hours of sleep you need to like wake up and not hate yourself?
It varies for me. I can do 6.
6,
and I'm
yeah.
all right. But if it's less than that, then it's a little bit. I can do 1 or 2 days of 5 or 4. But yeah, like I try to hit that 8 mark because if I go to bed at 10:30, even if it's 11, I get up at 7. That's 8 hours. So 8.5 for me. I get that,
Yeah.
and
That's
I get
nice.
a
You
lot
wake up
done.
refreshed.
Yeah, I get a
Full day.
lot done. So
Yeah, no, and I myself, I have, a bunch of these friends, and it's kind of give me a realization of like how, because I remember when we went to the jog and stuff, I was telling you about how I'm making music and all that stuff, but I'm like not consistent. I'm not like putting stuff out there. And I think it's purely off of just like how I've been my whole life and when I look at my friends and how they're 10 times lazier than I am, and I'm hella lazy, you know what I mean? It made me realize it's like, that shit's crazy. And it's like what you're saying, where I will have these friends that are like, yeah, let's kick it tomorrow, maybe, or something, you know what I mean? And then they leave you on the hook all day to be like, oh, let's just hang out another day.
Yeah.
When they literally do nothing all day.
Yeah, like I can see you, dude.
Yeah. Or, for me, I can't even, like, most of my friends, they don't do nothing.
Right.
And they don't talk with any type of substance.
Right.
So it's like painful sometimes to just sit there, So usually they'll rope me in with like, let's, play this game, or let's do this. And then I get there and they're like, I'm not feeling like it. And so I waste 2 hours of my time like, League of Legends, huh? Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love, No, and they're not even playing it. They're watching a YouTube video talking about it. Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do right now.
Right.
Like,
and this is one of the problems with sort of being woke or being, because you start going like, man, I spent all this time and energy getting here, and now we're just watching some other dude play League of Legends, and this sucks. Like you realize, like you've lost the joy for that simple thing. Because there's better things. Like we could be talking about so many other things, cool things. Because again, this is not supposed to be unique. We're supposed to be able to do this with everyone in our lives. But you start realizing, oh, this dude can't. It's like weightlifting. You can't go with somebody who's weaker than you. Like it's annoying to have to change the weights all the way down every time, right? So, or be that guy. If I'm the weaker guy, it's I feel like I'm annoying the dude who's bench pressing 300 pounds. I could be like, yeah, take that off and that off. Take it all off, just the bar. That sucks. So you really have to sort of get by. You have to like, okay, I'm gonna lift 300 pounds. Now here's the good news about logic, morals. There's truth, and anyone can do it. I mean, you could be a kid as long as you can understand words, or you can be an old ass man and you can understand it. Now I think the chances are higher the more mature you are, right? And so I know some 4-year-olds that can't do this. I do. I know they can't do it, but I know some 12-year-olds that can. Like I've met 14-year-old kids.
I know grown men
Yeah.
that can.
Yeah. And so, yeah, try to be the busy man. That the good kind of busy. Again, I've met people who are like, I'm busy. And I'm like, well, what are you doing? I have to go take a nap, and I have to eat, and I have to maybe shower, and then I'm like, okay, well, you're not really busy.
Oh, the thing I hate the worst is when somebody don't be doing nothing, or if they are, at most got 6 hours of stuff to do all day, and then reply to you 3 days later, like, sorry, I've been busy.
Yeah.
Who are you lying to? Like,
really, every minute.
You're
like,
so busy, you couldn't text me back for 3 days.
And that gets back to this idea of the truth is that person doesn't respect you or doesn't value your time, or at least, I don't think it's personal, they think their time's the most valuable, right? And so you just learn to, I don't get mad, but I learned to go, nah. Like when those people go, oh, I go, nah, or we'll see, dude. You always cancel. So I'm open to it. I might be around. Hit me up. We'll see.
Yeah.
And that usually kills it. Like,
for
they
sure.
stop. They
Well,
stop.
I mean, from going to school, for that time where even if you are hanging out with someone, it's a commitment.
Correct.
Because it's a 2-hour drive for one of us.
Yeah.
And so for a year, it's like you realize you're like, oh yeah, I don't have any friends at all, And it's not even that they're not friends at all. It's just not good enough where it's like
worth it.
It's
not worth it.
It's just not beneficial,
Right.
and not even in like a greedy way. Like,
Correct.
what are you gonna do for me? But it's
Correct.
like
No,
this
no,
is
no.
way more work
Yeah.
than any enjoyment I get.
Correct. Right. And I think there's a huge difference between those two. We're not saying be selfish. We're saying it's got to be worth it. It's got to have substance. Again, it's like food, empty calories versus real calories. A Twinkie versus a ham sandwich or something. This is not worth it, the empty calories. Now, again, if what I'm doing is for health. Now, if we're talking about taste, Twinkie wins, right? So that's that substance versus
And it's
filler.
that like spectrum of values varies all the time. Like a perfect example is like when I'm hanging out with one of those friends that just have nothing to offer me, but I waste 3 hours paying attention to League of Legends. I don't
you're
care
trying
about,
to invest in them.
And then it has an overall, it's like throwing a rock into a pond. Like, it has effects for the rest of the day, So I'll spend 3 hours and then get home and just be depressed for no reason and just watch videos and lay in bed.
Yeah.
Or I take 1 hour of my time, come up to Mesa, talk with you, and it's like made it so I want to go home and I just want to conquer the world,
Right. Right.
So,
And that's, Navy SEALs see it. You saw it on our wrestling team. When you get a group of people, and it only takes one other person, you get used, group of 2, that's all it takes. Motivated, suddenly, bam, bam, I'm doing a little bit more. For me, for example, even, I know you sometimes think, oh, this is uneven, like I'm giving you more than you give me. That's not necessarily true, because I find myself thinking more consciously, like, oh, okay, how do I do this and why do I do this so that I can explain it to Sam. And I'm excited for your upcoming child, your kid's coming into the world. That's a big deal, dude. And there's
Seriously.
a lot of stuff that I did some things right, for sure, but there's things that I wish I had done, that I had paid more attention to, that I had, and so I'm excited to pass that on to you, to tell you, like, hey man, do this and this and be careful with that, and here's my suggestion. And so it makes me a better person, right? So same thing, you go home, you want to conquer the world, I go home and I go, okay, I got to make sure I'm on point and I'm doing what I told you. Like, I got to eat right, I got to be cool with my family, because I'm on tape now, it sharpens me, it makes me better. It makes me want to break my record, or have a better personal time, or whatever.
and recently in my own personal life, I've like just found so much truth in that, because a perfect example is like I went to school to mix and do all that
Yeah.
stuff, but I wasn't doing it, and I wouldn't do it for myself. I don't know if it's just confidence, you know, because I'm not
Yeah.
like, it doesn't sound as good as to me, even when other people tell me it sounds good.
Yeah.
But I've finally been getting clients that are like, hey, I'll pay you 10 an hour,
Yeah.
which, and you know, I have other people that I went to school like, you're only charging 10? Why wouldn't you charge 20? I was like, dude, I'm grateful to be getting
Yes.
paid minimum wage to
Yeah.
do something I like.
You love.
Yeah, and then on top of it, it'll be people that have like no experience.
Right.
And so they're literally just eating up
Yeah,
everything I
everything.
could give them.
Yeah.
You just see the progression, and on top of it, I'll mix my own stuff. I mean, I'll mix their stuff, and it'll just teach me so much,
Right.
you know, to where you're just like, okay, you know, people will be selfish of like, oh, well, they're not as good as me, or, you know, how does that help me? But it's like, sometimes you just have to like have faith in the process of
Right.
like, I'm going to do this
Yeah.
for a smaller reason, but
Yes.
later on find out that there's way more that it could offer me.
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. I think, again, notice, you know, two things. One is, yeah, you could be charging more, but and you'll get there one day. Like if you keep at it, you'll be able to command that money one day. But a lot of people will have this sort of weird pride or sticking point, like, I'm not doing it for $10, it's not even worth my time. So, but then you don't love that.
Yeah. I have so little pride about it. I'll have like certain friends where I'm like, dude, pay what you can pay. You know what
Correct.
I mean? And it's good, you know?
Correct. Pay what you can pay. And again, as long as they're not being disrespectful, because yeah, or like I'm helping with this family with the stuff, the cameras, and I sort of went, I'm going to help you. I didn't ask for it. I'm like, I'll just do it. And then they went, oh, you get 50%. That was a bonus. I'm like, whatever you can kick me, fine. I'm going to help because I'm good at putting stuff on eBay. I'm good at doing the description. I got a good rating. So that same idea. You've got a valuable skill here. So pay what you can pay is a great starting point.
Yeah, and the craziest part is the people that I've, you know, because there's some people where I just gave them like a flat, it's 10, you know, and leave it up to them if they want to do it. But I've had friends, and, you know, I'll tell them 10 and then they want to pay me more.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like even better. You're just
Yes.
like, I don't know, that shit will come back to you.
I agree.
Are you still doing English too, or is it just your book?
No, yeah, I teach AP literature, AP language.
You doing Def Jams?
Yeah, we do our Def Jams, yep, every year, do our Def Jams, and,
Neat. Trying to have you get me in there. Because I was thinking about, you know, I like recording,
Yeah.
but, you know, I talked to you about it. I like writing too. I like just all of it.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to my girl about it. I would way more like to deal with people that don't know what they're doing
Right.
and just help develop them as an artist.
Correct. Yeah.
And then I'm down to do and not make money. You know
Right,
what I mean?
exactly.
So,
And there's something too about that, like teaching someone something makes you're like rediscovering it. You're like, oh damn, I never even realized that's what I do. Like I didn't even think that's okay, cool, and it's interesting. It makes it. This is what I love about my job, AP Literature, AP Language. I teach different books every year, and I cycle things in and do. Now again, I'll do Def Jam, but it's not always the same poems, or at least it's not. And then the real thing is when the kids start writing, and I'm like, whoa, this stuff's good. And you remember, people put something. I mean, it was
Crazy, yeah.
crazy good.
I feel like every year I was like, just expect to cry once. You know what I mean? There's always one person that's
Well,
like,
it's-
I'm not rhyming. I'm not saying
I'm just
shit.
telling my story.
Oh my God, Jessica Smith. I will never forget hers.
Yeah.
And I love her so much because it's like, she said more in one Def Jam than she said all year in the
Yeah,
class.
yeah.
You know? And it was just so beautifully poetic.
Beautiful and powerful and honest and real and truthful.
I've known her since kindergarten.
Dang.
And that's the most I've ever known about her in
Yeah.
my entire life.
Yeah.
And it's
again,
crazy how that happens.
I'll set it up and I'll even say, like, look, share only as much as you want, but then I get hella serious with everyone. Like, look, whatever anyone shares in here, it stays in here. If I hear that you're using any of this against them out there, I will do everything I can to destroy your educational career. Like, I will come after you.
Yeah, and you're even more real about it where you'll like tell people of like, yeah, you know, I know you may want to talk about this thing,
Right.
but be aware,
Be aware.
you feel the heaviness once you standing
Step.
in front of all those
Dude,
people.
it's
you know,
hot.
can you get through it? You know, and you have nothing but respect for the people that choke back those tears and
Yeah.
still get it out,
Get
or the
it
people
done.
that you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
You can't catch it all because they're
Right.
choking through it, but
Yeah.
you're still like bars. Like,
Yeah.
which was perfect.
Yeah, I agree.
But what is the ethics of me coming to do the Def Jam and then promoting?
Well, I appreciate that. That's another little life lesson thing. It's always better to make sure
Yeah.
rather than assume. It's kind of like
Mhm.
I know people that do tattoos and stuff. And so then people are always like, oh, hook me up, and it's like, or can I just come through? But so it's always better to ask, be extra. So I appreciate that. But the way it would work is the Def Jam is usually near the end, so it'd be December. Usually, or in the spring it's in May or March, whatever's near the end, depending on how much I have. So it's usually near the end, and you just have to tell them. I'll tell you, here's when we're doing it. What day do you want to come? Because there's like 4 days of performances. So you can come at the beginning, you can come at the end, you can come however you want. I just tell them, you sign in, you come up here. I introduce you, I'll introduce you to the class, and be like, here's.
And would you do it for one of the days that specifically are Def Jam, or are you just going to do it in the week? Because I don't know how much time I would take up.
Oh, right. Usually it takes like a week to do the whole lesson, so where we watch professionals and analyze, learn the techniques.
Maybe I can do like the last day when
Correct.
you finish all
That's
your
what I
lessons.
think. And then have you do that so that they can see, like, here's what you should be doing. Like here, because again, it's one thing to see Daniel Beatty on the stage, and you're like, wow, I'll never be him. But then here's Sam Murphy. You're like, oh, okay, cool.
My idea for it would be like to do a poem, just write the whole thing and then show them how good it can be, and then show them some of my music, and then show them like, hey, you can start seeds anywhere. You know what I mean? I started seeds in this Def Jam, and then went to school just because of writing some things, and then at the end just be like, if this is something you care about, I can at least, even if it's like not an artist development thing, people can hit me up just like, hey, I was thinking about going into school to be an audio engineer. I showed my cousin what I was doing, and he's like, yeah, I'm about to sign up and be an audio engineer and stuff. And I was like, dude, have me go with you to the tour so I can like find out what they actually give you and stuff like that. Cause
correct. And that's another thing. Again, a lot of people like to, we think, oh, mistakes, and we're embarrassed and we're ashamed of them. But like with my son, in fact, yesterday, one of my wife's tire blew out. And so I took him over I said, you're coming with me so you can learn how to do this. Because my dad never taught me how to do this. And it's taken me years to figure this stuff out. How to go and negotiate a new tire. Like, that seems like hella simple and basic, but most people just go and like, I don't know, here's all my money. Like,
they just pay full price for a
take
tire.
my money. And
so you got one good tire and 3 super shitty ones.
So I make him. So I dress like this in school at the beginning. And so I go home and I change, and he's like, well, why are you changing? I go, oh, because if I go like this, they're like, ching, money. And I go, and we do have money. I mean, we could spend $4,000 on rims and nice tires and lower. And I go, but I don't want to. What I want is the cheapest, easiest, most reliable. That's where I'm coming from, because I don't care about style. So I change into jeans and t-shirt, and so as we go there, pull in, dude's hecka busy. So I'm waiting patiently, and the guy comes and he's like, oh, were you waiting long? I'm like, no, I just got here like 5 minutes ago. I saw you were busy. I was just waiting. He's like, oh, I really appreciate that. He's like, sometimes customers, he's like, I'm under a car, and they're like, hey. I'm like, no, that's cool. I get it. I go, here's what I need. I go, I need a new tire. I go, but obviously I'm going to need all 4, but I don't know if I want to go new. I don't know if I want to go used 4 tires, or if I just want to do 1 used tire. I go, so whatever is the best option overall, meaning it saves me the most money and time and it's the most reliable overall. And that's where I need your help. Can you look at my tires and tell me, do I just need to replace the 1 and put a used on there? Do I need to replace the 1 and put a new? Do I need to go 4 new, or do I need 4 used? And he was like, oh, I've never had anyone ask me that before.
That's sad. So sad.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the mechanic, the thing you told me about the whole mechanic thing.
Correct.
You may not have the deep knowledge of it, but you have enough knowledge of like, if this dude's trying to sell me 4 new tires when I know I got 3 good ones, this isn't the tire shop that I'm going to keep coming to.
Correct. That's exactly right. So then my son's watching, and so when the guy goes outside to check the car, I explain to him why I did what I did. And I go, and this is a test. Because I know all 4 need to be replaced. I know it. They're balding and they've been on there for a long time. And I'm actually going to I have these, when I bought the car, it came with these huge rims. They're like Boss rims. And they're $1,500 rims. But they look terrible. I hate them. They look like something a rap star would have on his SUV. And that's not my style. And I don't care. Like, I left them, that's how much I don't care. I left them on there because I'm like, who cares? But now I can use it as a negotiating tactic. So a guy comes back and he's like, well, yeah, we could do 1 tire. He's like, but I'd have to, if we do 1, we have to do used, which that sounds correct. Because if he puts a brand new one on there, it'd be all like, man. He goes, but if we, you should do all 4, and if you do used, you can. He's like, here are my pricing, or you can do 4 new, and that's probably your best option long term. And I can get you this deal. I'll tell you what, I don't really care about these rims, so if I gotta keep them, I'll keep them, but I really don't want them. So how about I sell them to you? You give me store credit off 4 new tires. And he went, well, I have to talk to my manager. I'm like, that's cool. I go, but I need my car today. So I get it, you gotta talk to your manager, but what about me today? And he goes, I'll tell you what, I'll put a used tire on there that's reliable, that's good. You get a drive home today and your wife can drive it tomorrow. You come back Saturday, talk to the manager about store credit, and here's what we wrote down, the tires I need and 4 new ones. And I'll apply this used tire so that we'll take the used tire back on Saturday and we'll give you the $61 in credit towards your new tires and whatever deal you make. I'm like,
That's
done.
nice.
I said, done.
Yeah, see, be smart about it. My dad would have been like, $60 a tire? Deal. And I'm like, we had so much negotiating room.
And that was another thing I explained to my son. We actually were in a weak position because my car had to be towed there. My wife's car had to be towed there. So, they got you over a barrel because what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? You can't leave. Your tire's blown.
You played the bluff.
Yeah. And what I really did was sort of went, I wanted to know all my options. And let's say he had come back at me and given me some bad advice, or I felt like he was trying to take advantage of me. And for me, what I've discovered in my life is one of the ways you'll know is they act annoyed with you. So if this place was about taking advantage of people, then everybody just represents money and is a sucker, and they want to get them in and out as fast as possible, and they'd be annoyed. But really good places, take a moment, like I said, I said, and he went through all my options and went through, and he took time, even though he was busy as heck. And then I had to be like, now look, I'm going to leave the car here, but my wife's going to come pick it up, so I've already paid for everything. She's going to come pick it up, but she can't get here till 5:30, and you close at 5. So what's up with that? And he's like, well, actually, I'm going to probably be working late today. So yeah, I go, okay, so she'll be here by 5:30, closer to 5. I just want to make sure you remember and you're cool with it. And he's like, I really appreciate that, yeah, because sometimes we have cars here, and I got to wait 6:30 for someone to come pick up their car, because this particular tire place can't lock the cars inside. And so my wife went and picked it up, and she was on time, and he was like, oh, I really appreciate that. So here he is thanking me for being considerate, and that just puts us on a great relationship. In fact, it's that Bob's Tires down there on Auburn. Mm-hmm. And they've just always treated me right, and always been fair, and they let me go, what are my options? Because again, I don't know.
I went with my friend to that same one,
Yeah.
and my friend, he's into cars, so he just seemed juiced about it, and dude was just hella cool. He's like, come to the back, dude, you could pick out your tire. You know what I mean? And he's just like, out of this stack of used, like,
that's what I'm talking about.
They're cool.
Yeah, where I'm like, and everybody who works there is that way. There isn't anybody, I've dealt with 3 or 4 dudes there.
It's people that like their job.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
That's exactly right.
For sure.
And so I was telling my son, you find a place like this, you go back to them. You don't, like, I could go to Les Schwab, I could go to America's Tires, but why? These guys so far have every time been honest, real.
And most of the places you named, you're not even going to talk to the dude that's messing with your car.
Correct, you're going to talk to
So
the dude.
because it's departmentalized
Yeah.
like that, it's
Yeah.
like they care even less about you.
Correct. There's a salesman up front and the technician in the back.
Salesperson's only job is to make money off you.
Correct.
People in the back is just to fix your shit. They don't
Correct.
care about the middle stuff.
Yep.
Yep. I don't want to dive straight into religion. Great segue. Oh yeah, so we can go into especially high school. That's the prime time of finding out who you are.
Yeah.
And then dealing with peer pressure, and not just the peer pressure of drinking or smoking or partying as a younger person, but the peer pressure of your parents are well, you got to get straight A's in all these AP classes, and you got to go to Stanford so we can all be 100,000 in debt.
Yeah.
So it's really finding out who you want to be, and then meaning it. You know what I mean? And it's okay to not know, but it's more of just being aware of is this an original thought of my own? Not original, oh, did I come up with this and no one else is, but is it something that I chose, I truly wanted to adopt, or is it something that somebody put in my mind, and so I give it more importance than it deserves,
Right. Yeah, it's the same. It's kind of like you meet a diehard 49ers fan, and you're like, well, why? Where'd that come from?
Why you keep saying we, bro? Like,
Yeah.
Gets me every time.
Exactly. Why do you keep saying we?
Yeah.
So that's that idea. I think most peer pressure is actually from the person's point of view. So again, it can be used for good. Like you're on a good wrestling team, man, everybody wants to work hard, everybody wants to get better. Remember that dude who quit and tried wearing his wrestling sweater outside of the team? And people were like, nah, dude, take that off. Like, you're not one of us. You didn't do what we need. He's like, well, I paid for it, and like, take it off. It doesn't matter. You don't get to claim that because it means something to us, right? So that same idea of peer pressure can be a positive thing in terms of we all are going to get better. Like, we're not here to mess around. We're here to get better. Obviously, it can also be negative in terms of leading you down the wrong path and pressuring into things you don't want to do. But I think most of the time, just you want to be what you're around. So if you're around dirtbags doing shady stuff, it's a matter of time.
Dude, and I feel like it sucks that it sounds so cliche that people that, my age or even younger, like, they really aren't hearing it.
Right.
Or their parents just don't know how to, like, serve it on a silver platter, They're just like, you're going to be just like your friends. And then you got to prove them wrong instead of being like, hey, there might be some truth in there.
Yeah. And to, I think there's a part of it being pride where we're like, well, not me. Everyone thinks that. Like,
For sure.
Not me.
Definitely.
I'm like, that's what every heroin addict thought. That's what every alcoholic thought. Not me. I won't. And they still don't even think. You can be talking to a raging alcoholic, and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Or even less dramatic, but I feel like you see this all the time, or these people that are like, yeah, I'm stoners, but I'm like positive stoner that's motivated, And every time I look at who they are, and like they might be doing some things, but I'm like, I can only imagine what you'd be doing if you didn't waste 2 hours a day. Laying around,
just baking yourself out.
Yeah.
And so I think that for me, what I've noticed is peer pressure is not some people going, hey, come on, but it's rather you finally just going, I'm going to do what they do. That's it. You just kind of give in to what's around you. So,
or like I was saying with the aspect of your parents telling you to go to the school is like you create this thing in yourself of your self-worth is only this,
Correct.
And so if I'm not meeting this standard, well, I'm not who I should be,
Yeah. And that's why there's those, we hear those sad stories in South Korea, kids committing suicide because they're like, I'm not going to make it. I've lost my rank in school. And they kill themselves. And I wonder how many parents are like, dang, I wish I hadn't pushed them so hard. I wonder how many of them go, it wasn't worth it. You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, yeah.
So, because again, I'd rather my kids be happy. And I've told my kids, look, I don't care what you do as long as you're happy. Now, I think there's a couple of things that you need. Financial stability, as much as we say money doesn't matter, yeah, it does. That's what super hella poor people say money doesn't matter. But that's not...
It's really poor people or really rich people.
Correct.
And the really rich people are just like, I have so much, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Spend $100,000 on a weekend just messing around with the jet skis, right? So in one way, they're correct, money doesn't matter, but there is something to financial stability. To be able to feed your family, clothe your family, know you have a place over your head. It's not going to go away next week. Because I grew up poor where, honestly, we moved 6 times by my 4th grade year because we were so poor. We were losing apartments, getting kicked out of houses, cars getting repoed. And I remember that as a kid, I never got attached to any one place because I knew it's just a matter of time before we're out of here. It's just a matter of time before we get kicked out. And I might not get any of the stuff back because there was times they changed the locks on us and we're like, nah, you didn't pay, you don't get your stuff. And so my parents would just be like, and wash their, and I'm like, but my stuff, man. And again, it's rinky-dinky stuff, but to me,
you're like, a bed's a bed.
Yeah, it meant the world. Or even just my Transformer took my Optimus Prime. That was mine, man. And now it's gone. That sucks.
And you're like, I know I'm not about to get another one.
Yeah.
We don't even know where we're going.
Yeah, exactly. So I tell my kids, I don't care what you do as long as you can provide for yourself and your family. Like it leads to a long term. That's like my oldest boy, he got his first job. Now I made him over the summer work at McDonald's. I made him do the flipping burgers, doing fries, because I wanted him to learn humility. And that's a crappy job. That's a hard-ass job for very little pay, and everybody hates you.
I've never been more embarrassed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I made him do that. And I said, because then you're going to appreciate your next job.
So appreciative.
You're going to realize, like...
You're like, I don't get paid minimum wage, and random strangers can't yell at me for not something I did.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Or co-workers stealing from me. I mean, he was at McDonald's, and he's like, dude, these people are straight thieving from each other. They're breaking each other's lockers and stealing stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
There's
because what do they
hella
care?
drama.
What do they
The
care?
craziest part is like the amount of adults
Yeah.
that are in the McDonald's place.
Yeah.
Where you're just appreciative because you're like, I know I'm not going to be that guy. You know what I mean? That guy wasn't working here at 18 thinking like,
man.
oh,
Yeah,
what am I going to
yeah.
do?
I don't know if I ever told you this one when I was in college and I was working at a movie theater, and this lady, she was obviously I was 19 and she was maybe like 27, and she's like, yeah, it's my 10-year pin, and she was like, oh. And I'm like, if I ever get a 10-year pin, shoot me.
Dude, I feel that so much.
Shoot me in the head. So his next job, I made him apply to Safeway and other places that have unions, that have futures.
Genius.
Right, and so he got his job at Safeway, and man, he loves it. Now, there's that even is still slightly,
Yeah.
there's no matter where you go, there's gonna be some drama. But at least, like, his boss can't just come in and be like, "You're fired."
Mhm.
He's protected by
Yeah,
the union.
himself, yeah.
He's got pay increases scheduled. He's got health insurance. He's at 16 now. He's 17, but at 16, he already was better than most 20-year-olds.
For sure.
Set.
Yeah.
And again, he doesn't know it, but we took his money and we said, okay, 50% goes to bills. That's for your insurance, your gas, your cell phone. 30% goes in your pocket, 20% goes into savings. Now, when he graduates and moves on, he's actually going to get all that money back, the 50% that he's been paying. It's about $4,000, $5,000. He'll be able to start, like, here's $5,000 that you earned.
Set.
Yeah, and now, again, notice you didn't even feel it,
For real.
and now, boom, here it is in your pocket. Like, that's the power of savings.
Yeah. That's an amazing lesson.
Correct.
Yeah.
And, he's on it.
I think the next aspect of it, because I'm having this myself, because
Sure.
I've been working since 15.
Yeah.
I've worked a bunch of jobs, but what I really learned is something that creates my discontentment in a job. You'll have the small issues of, like, when you work at McDonald's or like regular jobs, you'll notice it's your boss or
Yeah.
your employees.
Yeah.
Another aspect of it will just be like the tedious work of, like, repetition of, I'm just gonna do the same thing I did yesterday and that's all I'm ever gonna do here. But like you're saying with the career aspect of it, like, because I finally started working today, was my first day.
Nice.
And just the whole aspect of it is just like crazy. They're about to spend $10,000 for me to go to school so I
Correct.
can be a journeyman.
Yeah.
And they're telling me, like, hey, you do this schooling, every 6 months you get a 5% pay increase.
Possibly, yep.
So I'm making $18.35 now.
Yep.
In 6 months I'll be making $20 an hour.
Correct.
In 5 years I'll be making $40
Correct.
an hour.
Correct.
And they're all about, like, well, you're an apprentice, so we want you to learn these things. But my boss was giving me an example today of this kid that his dad was a pipe fitter, right? Which is what I'm going in to be.
Correct.
But I don't know shit about shit.
Right.
He's been in it his whole life, right? So what the boss did with this kid, because he's been in pipe fitting, right? So he's just flawless. New apprentice, but just killing the game,
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, I'm going to get this dude doing this other job, cross-training him to learn this other thing, but he's doing it with people that are non-unionized. And, like, it's another job.
Yeah.
He either complained to his dad, complained to V or whatever. So the union comes back to him like, you're not allowed to do all this shit. And so my boss was telling me, he's like, dude, that fool completely screwed himself.
Yeah.
I was just trying to help him out.
Wow.
And he's like, now he's just going to be doing pipe
Right.
fitting for 5 years.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Why shot himself in the
Yeah.
foot?
And it's crazy. Like, sometimes it's not knowing things that'll help you.
Correct.
But yeah, that's one thing where, every job I've ever had, especially warehouse jobs, it's like, I know when they hire me, when they be like, okay, yeah, your whole job is just doing forklifting. Like, if I can, when you train me,
Yeah, and
you're
that's
telling me
it.
everything I'm ever going to do here, I know I'm going to hate this
That's
job.
why they call
Then
it
you say
dead
no
end.
headphones, I'm
Right.
like, okay, this
Yeah.
is the worst ever.
That's why they call it a dead end job, because it goes this far, and that's it.
Mhm.
Dead end.
Yeah. And it only gives you enough experience to do another job that goes this far. Like,
Dead end. That's
but-
exactly right.
Yeah, but what's it called? You know, today he's giving me the whole spiel and he's telling me how I don't
Yeah.
get to have headphones. And I'm like, first time I ever heard it where I'm like, yeah, why the fuck would I have headphones? You know, like, yeah, of course I'm not going to have headphones. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah.
you'd rather be teaching me all this stuff. I'm supposed to be
Right.
learning. I'm supposed to be
Right.
grinding, like,
Yeah.
at job sites, you know?
Correct. And I'll tell you right now that, again, you're going to be, as long as you do your job, and here's the things that happens with that, like pipe fitting or unions. You do your job, you get a reputation. And people start going, cool, Murphy, yeah, he's solid, man. Knows what he's doing, he's going to get stuff done. And you start getting advances, perks.
Yeah.
People start looking out for you, going, hey, we're getting Murphy on this job.
Yeah.
Murphy's on this
That's
job.
literally what my boss was explaining today, where
Yeah.
he's like, you know, with construction, sometimes it's hit and miss. Especially he was like saying how he was doing what I was doing, but in like 2006, 2008.
Right.
And he's like, that's like the bottom of the thing, you know? And he's like, luckily our company's so cool.
Yeah.
They'll be like, what was it? Like everyone was gonna get cut time. And most jobs, it's like the top tier people or whatever.
Correct.
But what they did is because like their journeymen and their foremen, like the apprentices that they had of the time, because when that stuff happens, first people going are cutting
Apprentice,
apprentices.
yep.
So what they did as a whole office, including the people in the office, including all the work people, everyone said, okay, we'll take 32 hours a week, so that everyone can still stay on, you know.
Yeah.
And then he was explaining to where he's like, yeah, dude, he's like, I'll give you the only nugget of advice you need. Stay one step ahead.
Yep.
You stay one step ahead. He's
Yep.
like, every foreman is gonna want you.
Correct.
And he's like, it's gonna take 5 years to be a journeyman.
Right.
He's like, but there is no schooling or in between of being a journeyman and a foreman.
Right.
So if you're doing everything a journeyman can do 2.5 years in, and you have all your schooling done, but you gotta wait for these hours to become an official
Correct.
journeyman. He's like, by the time you're a journeyman, you're just gonna be a foreman.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes people get mixed up, or they get short-sighted and they go, yeah, but I'm not getting paid extra to do extra. It's like, you're right, not right now, but this kind of job, what you're talking about, or like in teaching or any really good union job, what you're actually doing is by becoming the best. It's just like a wrestling team, dude. After a while, people go like, this is our team. Like, oh, we gotta do this. Murphy's on my crew. And the guy at the top who gets stuff done is gonna know who's the mover and shakers. And of course you're gonna have slackers. And those dudes are gonna bottom out and stay like this, and then they're gonna mess up, and that's it. They just punch their ticket and they're out.
Yep.
Where you, again, you get a good reputation, of course you're gonna make mistakes. But people are gonna be like, don't worry about it. We know overall your track record is good, so don't worry about it. But you're a screw up, you're a mess up, you're always gonna be one step away from, nah, you know what, you're fired.
Yeah. And you know, that's one perfect example I learned from you know, the dude I was just explaining that was his dad was a pipe fitter. He
Yeah.
said one attitude and effort will get you in the top tier of anything you want to do over the dude that's been doing it since he was 5 years old.
Correct.
Because he'll create such bad habits for himself that he's never going to get out of it, to where eventually you'll be able to pass him up.
Yep. Yeah. And two, that person doesn't realize it, but they're damaging everybody around them.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to pick up your slack. That sucks, dude. And you know, you'll see this at the highest levels of the Navy SEALs. When I went to go visit the Navy SEALs down in Coronado as part of a teacher program, training program, I was talking to this guy and I'm like, so after you were a Navy SEAL, like, does anyone make you work out? And he's like, no, you work out because you know if ever we have to go out and hike 10 miles with 80 pounds on our backs and you can't keep up,
We all have to slow down for you.
we have to pick up your stuff. We'll get all yours on my back, and then the next time, you ain't coming out with me. I'll be like, nah, he doesn't come out with me. And all of a sudden, you're not being picked for missions, and they drum you out. They go, nah, you finish your 4 years and get out. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, this is life and death, man. Now, again, that's extreme, but I think the same principle applies. People, after a while, again, even in teaching, I know who's good and who's not. And so I've gathered to me the best dudes, the best in math, the best in science, the best, and we take care of each other. We look out for each other. Whenever there's something to do for the school, that's who I'm going to go to get it done. And then it's no coincidence why I get the classroom I want, I get the schedule I want, I get the, and I know that sometimes people think, oh, that sucks, that's not fair. It's like, well, then hustle,
Yeah.
then work hard.
Yeah. Be smarter than
That's
your
why I'm here at
circumstances.
5:52.
Yeah,
I
seriously.
mean, I was waiting for you to cut. 'Cause I had other stuff. I'm taking care of business. I'm working my butt off.
Jesus, we got
Yeah.
10 minutes? Oh, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, you were worried we were gonna run out.
Yeah.
And we didn't even get the religion.
Yeah, we can save that whole topic
we'll
for another
save it,
because
yeah.
that'll be an easy
Oh, hour. Easy.
Random thing has nothing to do
Sure.
with what we're talking about.
Good.
What's up with Tower's sister? Is she still wrestling?
Sister.
She was a freshman when I was a senior. So what? She's a senior now.
Oh no, she graduated.
She graduated what last year?
You mean Good Tower?
Good Tower. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
How's she doing wrestling?
All right, so she wrestled up to when I stopped coaching, and then the new guy didn't set up a girls' team, and the league just changed the rules so girls can't score you points. So they separated girls and boys wrestling, and then I think it's bad. So like take Lyndhurst, Lyndhurst had all those girls that were killer.
At Raw.
Well, Raw, dude, they were. So no girls can score points in varsity boys wrestling. So if you have them in the lineup, it's a forfeit. They can wrestle exhibition. That's it.
That's ridiculous.
It was terrible. It's terrible. Now I get it. We want to be fair. We want to be
You get
equitable.
it. I get it if
Yeah.
you have 40 people on
Correct.
your team.
Correct.
You know?
But a school like Mesa, school
Yeah, it's
like
crazy.
Lyndhurst, killed us. So she's like, well, I'm not going to, and then they didn't create which one of the reasons I had to quit coaching, because one of the things I asked for was a complete stipend for girls, so I could have a head coach. I was going to have Miss Pierce. I need mat tape, extra juice. I need singlets for the girls, and I was going to have them wrestle over at Sylvan, and then Sylvan would wrestle first, and then the girls would wrestle there while varsity practice happened here. And they told me yes in March. September rolls around. I'm like, cool, I need my stuff. And they're like, oh, yeah, no, we can't give that to you. So I'm like, oh,
That's crazy.
so she ended up quitting because she's like, well, what's the point? There's no
Man.
girls team, and I can't earn any
That's
points.
disappointing.
Can't go to league, can't go to divisionals. Can't
She would
go
have been
to-
a savage.
Yeah,
I could feel it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And she ended up being in my AP literature class and AP language class, and she was awesome. She helped me with my yearbook. She actually joined my yearbook crew.
Oh, yeah.
She was killer, bro.
Smart
She-
kid, too?
Yeah, she was the best kid. She worked hard. She got everything done.
She
did really
applied
well.
for colleges?
Yeah, she wants to do, I think it's like electrical engineering or something, something super high
So
up.
for sure, a genius.
Yeah, and I think she's going to UC Berkeley. I'm not 100%
Oh.
sure though. Yeah, so she got into a good
How
school.
about Caleb? Did he graduate?
So
too?
check
so
it
every
out.
so
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
no one in
no,
high school
no,
that I went to.
Yeah, you're old.
I'm so.
old. It happens like that, dude.
Oh
It feels
my
like
God,
yesterday.
yeah, I'm like.
Remember
God.
some wise old man used to tell you, like, hey, time flies, bro.
For real.
You're going to take a nap, and the next thing you know, it's 5 years later.
Seriously.
Gone. So anyways, Caleb wrestled 2 years, and then when I stopped coaching, he got into drama, actually.
He was always in a drama.
Correct. Well, I mean, like, star of the show.
Yeah, I know.
Lead actor.
Yeah, that's
Badass, bro.
I'm getting like goosebumps
Yeah.
thinking about it because
Yeah.
I'm like, this kid
Was
is
so-
so amazing.
And, we helped him. I think, again, Caleb was never going to be a great wrestler. Never.
For sure.
But, man, that kid worked hard. Man, he tried.
If he did 4 years, he could have been better than me.
I agree.
Yeah.
But he would never be, he wasn't going to be like Butler. He wasn't going to be,
Yeah.
And so, and I'll give you another example. I'm not going to say his name, but remember that star freshman we had that was messed around a lot, and his mom was always like babying him. I don't know if you remember. So anyways, he ended up leaving us sophomore year, and he went over to DC. He went to go wrestle for DC because he came and he talked to me, so I'll give him credit for that. But he was basically like, I don't think your program's very good. I'm going to DC. And I said, okay. I said, well, good luck. I said, we've beat DC, so go ahead. But number two, you're going to go there and you're going to be the third string, because I know that coach, and his son's wrestling, and he's not going to let you break the lineup. And then there's another kid there who should be number one, and he's definitely better than you. He's a senior. He's stronger than you. He's better.
And he's
So-
still not number one.
right.
He's a second string.
Correct.
Oh dear God.
I would have quit, but whatever, that kid stayed. So he goes over to DC, third string. They don't wrestle him all year long. He ends up getting into drugs, dude, and drops out junior year, total meth head. Lives in a trailer outside of his mom's house up front. Meth head, just straight
Yeah, that's
crystal meth.
That's so nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean,
So there's two stories. One kid with talent, but like, all about me, what about me, and and then.
dude, that's literally. I live this life between me and my brother. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because my brother had just all the opportunity in the world.
Yeah.
And he had so much potential.
Yeah.
and he let the me thing kind of
Yeah.
ruin him. But what's crazy is because my mom's brought this up because she's been in meetings her whole life, and I've seen a lot of meetings, and
Yeah.
I almost feel like a certain level of self-centeredness is like a super telltale sign that that person eventually is going to be addicted to something,
Yeah.
like uncontrollably,
Yeah.
because they just go so hand in hand.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's almost that one way of it. It enhances your self-centeredness because then you have something to blame it on.
Correct.
And then that thing, then you don't look at it as self-centeredness. You blame this thing as the self-centered
Correct.
thing.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
shift the blame onto the
You
self.
disassociate with
Correct.
like the reality.
But in the end, it's you going, I don't want to face my problem.
yeah.
I don't want to, that's what every addict is doing, is bearing some problem, trying to
Mhm.
self-medicate some problem. And they don't have the honesty to go, do this in here. It's like what we were talking about when people try giving you advice about try to eat all chicken all the time, or
Yeah.
salmon all the
Yeah.
time, or try eating just
Just eat grass,
Yeah,
you'll be
yeah,
fine.
And you're like, listen, I know it's here
Yeah.
and here.
Absolutely.
When I want it, it'll happen. So I gotta kick my own ass. It's not about what's on the menu.
Yeah, people don't believe me when I'm like, dude, I lost 60 solid
Yeah.
pounds
Yeah.
eating Wendy's every night,
Yeah.
whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
In fact, I got bigger portions because I was working out
Yeah.
2 hours a day.
Yeah.
And it still fell off. Now my liver's shot.
Yeah.
But still, like, it shows me,
Yeah.
working hard. And that just means when I'm 40, I'm kale smoothies is all I get to have.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
enjoying
you
my
know,
time now.
Again, I'm turning 42 this Sunday. 42 this Sunday. And
Did you eat like garbage when you were younger?
I ate like everybody. I ate pizzas and hamburgers, but I don't think I ate like garbage.
But like the classic like American diet?
Correct. Yeah.
So not healthy, but you
Right.
weren't straight garbage.
Right.
Yeah.
And really, it came down to wrestling and martial arts and fighting.
I almost think that stuff helps because you don't have the mental capacity to keep it going if you don't start putting something in your body to fuel it.
Correct. And to, I'm into my prepping stuff, and one of the best things, because I've met other preppers that are like 350 pounds and can't get around, and they're on an oxygen mask, and I'm like, forget surviving the apocalypse. You
Yeah.
gotta survive Tuesday, bro. Like, you gotta lose weight, get in shape, because you're spending $5,000 to survive a nuclear holocaust, but you can't run from your house to your bunker. Like, that doesn't make any sense, dude.
Yeah.
And it's most likely the emergency is going to come at the most inopportune moment. I'm going to be out shopping. I'm going to be, away from my house. And now this is what I'm going to have on me. I'm going to have my hands, my feet, and whatever's in my truck. So that's where I start. This is the best place to start is right here. I got to be mentally prepared, and my heart has to be in the right place. Okay, now my body's got to be trained, and then the closest tools at hand, which are in my truck or on my person, so I can.
Yes. And with preppers, it's like not too far fetched to be like, some of these people are delusional. So it's like, I'm not surprised that there's a 500-pound prepper
Correct.
that's
Yeah.
doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like, they're missing the point
Right.
completely.
Correct.
Now, but it's funny that you mentioned the prepper thing because I realized like me and my girl are first to go for sure.
Yeah.
Because we're over here like, we're prepping and stuff, and then she has like a stomach pain. She's like, we might need to go to the hospital. I'm like, we got no bags ready.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was like, we're not even prepared.
You gotta have a
leave
go
right now.
bag.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Super set. Yeah, exactly. You know what's funny is I wasn't always a prepper, but about the time my first kid was born is when I started becoming one, because the go bag fascinated me. And having diaper bags where I was like ready for every emergency. I had everything ready.
You're like, why wouldn't I do this for life?
Right. And it's really started transferring. I'm like, how? And again, I came from a violent background, so that's where the fighting came from. But then I started realizing, okay, I've got to learn defensive fighting, the kind of fighting that where I don't want trouble, learning how to de-escalate, use my voice, create space. And that's where Fight Right 24/7 came from, because I took something negative, my fear and violent upbringing in Fresno, and when my kid being born and realizing I got to live a different way, transform this thing into, okay, I'm gonna. Some of the things are still the same, but I've got to have tools prior to the fight. And better than getting into a fight is avoiding a fight, stopping a fight, dissuading a fight, and that's where that came from. It just sort of.
Yeah. It's like in chess, it's like, a better move than baiting one of your pieces to get them to take it for you to take their piece is to like avoid the whole situation.
Yeah.
Checkmate them. That's one of like my favorite things in chess of like.
Yeah. They
Nothing's better than hell pieces still on the board and then it's just game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of this matters because you're done.
Yeah.
I agree. That is a good feeling.
Yeah, man. Thanks again.
Yeah.
Full
Like,
hour.
subscribe.
Yeah, like, share, comment. Another great episode, whatever episode it is.
I know. Yeah.
It's just growing. It's just growing pains.